Thank you for this.
Right here. Thank you. If y'all have textbooks for me, I can take them now. Oh, I guess our bells are turned off again today. Okay, so we got today and Monday, so you got a little more time than my D-Day classes had to work on your semester exam review. And I would be happy to take some questions from that if you've been working on it and you're either choosing to take the final or you just don't meet the requirements for exemptions, and you know there's some stuff that you need help on, then I would be happy to help you. A couple quick reminders about it. On the final exam, we will let you use a calculator the whole time. We do let you make a note card as long as it's a standard size note card and it's handwritten, but you can handwrite front and back. Put formulas on there, you can put examples on there, whatever is going to work for you. If you don't have any note cards and you don't want to go buy a whole pack, I do have some extras in the back corner that you're welcome to one or two of. Our semester test counts as a 50-point test, which you have to take that score if you take the final. But just like first semester, if your semester exam score is higher than your lowest test average, then it also counts as a grade replacement. So that's why some people with a B still sometimes choose to take the final, because it could catapult your grade up, especially if you had one low test grade, because that's going to be potentially overwritten. But before I take questions from that, I'd like to confirm or deny on exemption stuff. So if you're trying to exempt and you have the semester exam review finished, because that's part of the requirements, I can check that off for you right now, but I can only help one person at a time. So please, only one person at a time come up. Okay, nobody's ready for exemption checks? I'd already checked yours.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I stapled everything. Hold on. Can I get some help on one of these?
Yeah, I'm gonna take questions in just a second.
Okay.
Anybody else have their final review finished and want me to confirm that you meet the rest of the requirements? I will do that check again first thing on Monday. But again, finishing the final exam review is part of it, so you really need to have that finished before I can give you final confirmation anyway. Dylan. Here. JP. Okay. If you finish that semester exam review this period and you want to confirm, especially those of you that don't have many absences, you might be able to afford to miss on Monday. So I understand why you might want to do that. Okay, Noah, what was the question that you had ready?
It was the difference quotient, and
Okay.
then A, B, or C. Let's just go B.
Difference quotient, question B.
Yeah.
So this one.
Sure. Yeah.
Check to see if I needed 24. Okay, so when we did the difference quotient, I showed you where it comes from, which you don't have to know, but you do have to know what the difference quotient is. It's kind of like a formula. And because it has h in the denominator, h can't be 0 because we can't divide by 0. And then secondly, you need to know what this is telling you to do, whether it looks like this, this, or this. These all kind of start the same. So the first part of the difference quotient says go to the function and plug in x plus h everywhere. So for question B, that's what it would look like plugging in x plus h. The next part says subtract the function. I'm going to make it plus a negative so I don't forget about that. And then the last part of the difference quotient says divide by h. And now this is what's going to be different about these three questions, because they all simplify differently. C is probably the most comfortable for you to simplify, but we also need to be able to simplify these and these, just different process. So when I look at this, this is a complex fraction. I've got smaller fractions within a bigger fraction. So the same way we dealt with complex fractions when we looked at limits, complex fractions is not just a limits thing, is you want to get rid of these smaller denominators. So I really want to multiply this fraction by x minus 4 to make those cancel, but mathematically that's only okay to do if you're willing to multiply everything by x minus 4. And over here I would love to multiply this one by x plus h minus 4 to make those cancel, but again it doesn't stay balanced unless you multiply every term by x plus h minus 4, even this one down here. In fact, you may even want to write it as his own small fraction for you to see that. So, complex fractions usually are pretty messy here for a moment, but then since this stuff cancels, right here we're left with 8 times x minus 4. So I will distribute that. Over here these two canceled, so I will distribute negative 8 to these, which would be a negative 8x minus 8h plus 32. And down here, h had a denominator of 1, so none of these cancel. We have an h, an x minus 4, and an x plus h minus 4. Okay, if you can keep your work clean enough to keep up with that, then you're pretty much home free, because it's pretty easy after that. 8x minus 8x goes to 0, plus 32 minus 32 goes to 0, and then in the end, timesing by h, dividing by h cancels. So we end up with negative 8 over what that least common denominator was from the complex fraction. Yeah. Is your question about this one?
No.
Okay. Let me make sure this is enough here. Anybody have anything specific about this part B while it's still up there? Now, especially for those of you going on to calculus next year, these questions are really important, because if you just plug in 0 for h, all of a sudden you have something called the derivative, and pretty much the whole first semester of Cal AB is about limits and derivatives. A couple weeks of limits, and the whole rest of the semester is about derivatives. So you can almost already find one if you can do difference quotient questions. Okay, what was yours? 35? Oh, 5? Oh, a problem with 5 is it's missing its graph. Let me see if I can see what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like okay, so I don't know how this happened, but on question 5, the graph got cut off, so you have to look at the online version to see. But here's what the function's supposed to look like, and it's got 3 points set aside, -3, 0, 0, 2, and 2, 6. and it's asking questions about what the inverse would look like. So you have to remember that for an inverse, just means you're swapping x and y. You're swapping input with output. So -3, 0 becomes 0, -3. 0, 2 would become 2, 0. And 2, 6 would become 6, 2. So that's what the inverse would look like. Swap the input and the output, and then reconnect all the points. Okay, somebody have another question or two ready to go? All right, again, you guys have a little bit more class time. This is actually the second day of class I've gotten let you work on this. And then Monday would be the third day, whereas B-Day, I don't know how we ended up with so many less B-Days this semester, but B-Days only had one full class period, so there's not quite the same urgency, I guess. So let me give you a chunk of time to go ahead and keep working here, and in a bit I will bug you for some questions. But of course, as always, you guys don't have to wait until then. If you see something you need help with, call me over or bring it up to me, and I'll help you in the meantime. Or you can wait for me to take more questions on the board.
We got everything down. We just have a couple here and a couple on the back.
Okay.
But how do you know if it's 1-to-1?
1-to-1 means it passes the vertical line test and the horizontal line test.
Okay, so I think this does.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, I can draw a horizontal line that,
Yeah.
so it would be a function because it passes the vertical line test, but it's not 1-to-1 because it doesn't pass vertical and horizontal.
It's only common sense.
Yep. Let's put in. I've already checked everything else, so I just need to see that this is finished. You're exempt.
Do I only have 4 absences?
I don't know how many you have, but I marked it down that you would be safe even if you missed, so. Okay, what else you got?
For E, if the inverse though is going to be a function, wouldn't that just like reflect across the...
Well, that's what it means to be 1-to-1. If something's 1-to-1, that means that his inverse is a function. If it's not 1-to-1, it means its inverse is not a function.
Okay.
That's why we like to test for that.
And then the only ones I didn't really understand were a couple on affinity. I saw here that like if they're equal, you divide like the numbers in front.
Well, so if you're worried about what y value is it approaching as x gets really big, infinity, or really small, negative infinity, what you're really curious about is horizontal asymptote. So then you can just apply the horizontal asymptote rules and say degrees are equal, so leading coefficient over leading coefficient.
Okay.
And then so same with this one too. most of this mess is just trying to see if you know what you should be looking for. But this is really just asking about horizontal asymptote because the very end of the graph.
Would that be y equals 0?
Yep, that's it, because the degree of the denominator is bigger. So, try to scare you by making it look messy,
Yeah.
but
And then the only other ones I don't understand is like on these, like an example would be like here, I plug in. You're supposed to plug in 7 by x,
Mhm.
right?
Try
So-
direct substitution first.
Yeah, and then I don't understand how to do these because you divide by 0 and be undefined.
Okay, well that could be okay. What's the numerator come out to be?
9 minus 3 and 0.
Okay, so if you got a number divided by 0, that doesn't make sense, and you can say does not exist. That's probably one of these. But if you get 0 over 0, just like a whole, it could be anything. So this is where you have to make this look different, manipulate it some, get something to cancel, and then you can do direct substitution again.
Okay.
So sometimes it's factoring. I think this one's factoring. This one is a complex fraction. So if you simplify your complex fraction first,
Okay.
this one is 0 over 0, but you could do a trig identity. You could make sine squared look different and then eventually cancel something out. So that's what you need to do. You need to try to practice making those look different.
And say then on E is like factoring problem.
What do you get if you just plug it in?
You get over 0.
Okay, but what about the numerator?
16. Where's 32? 35.
Okay, well 35 divided by 0 isn't going to exist. So you can just say does not exist there.
Oh.
It's only 0 over 0 that you have to do a bunch of extra work.
this point. I don't know what to do in here. Because I multiplied these out to get like a common denominator, right?
Okay.
Between them.
Well, the problem is you still have a complex fraction. You've got this small fraction within this
Yeah.
big fraction. So I probably would have just multiplied everything by 2 and x at the beginning, because multiplying this by 2 cancels this out. Multiplying this by x cancels this out. It's not wrong what you did, but I would still multiply this by 2x to make that cancel,
This
and you
by-
got to multiply that by 2x too.
This by 2x?
This fraction.
Okay.
Because multiplying by 2x and dividing by 2x are going to cancel.
And you would divide by 2x on this one?
No, if you're multiplying this by 2x, you have to multiply this by 2x.
Okay.
It's got to be consistent.
Okay.
questions getting me.
Okay. I thought you'd already finished.
It was that one that I just came back to.
I don't know what you're doing with
I
this.
don't know how to kind of bunch numbers.
Okay, you need to erase that. That has nothing to do with the difference quotient.
Okay.
Okay, so this is still the difference quotient, just like parts A and part B. So the first part says rewrite the function, but everywhere there's an x, replace it with an x plus h.
Okay. Do I want to factor out the x squared or just x squared plus h?
You need an x plus h squared minus an x plus h plus a 2.
Okay.
Just everywhere there's an x, you put an x plus
So
h.
yeah, factor that out. Minus x plus h plus 2. And then subtract that here. I'm going to subtract the original equation. Squared. It's 2 minus the original equation. And that all goes over to h.
But you didn't subtract the original equation. You subtracted the first part of the original equation. You're supposed to subtract the whole function. You're only subtracting the first term, so you got to distribute if you're not going to put parentheses.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so there's the difference quotient applied.
Okay.
Now to simplify this type, you're going to need to FOIL this out, distribute this. So you didn't put parentheses there either.
Okay. I see.
Okay, distribute this, combine a bunch of like terms, and then your last step should be canceling out the h in the denominator.
Okay.
So you should get like 4x minus 1 and some h's.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so it's been a little bit here, so I'll give you a chance to ask a few more questions that I can work out on the board for you. Anything you're struggling with that you want some more help on? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen off then, but you guys still have 35 minutes of class. So if you do find some stuff you need help with, please go ahead and just ask today. No sense in waiting till Monday if you know you have those questions, but you also have all of class on Monday. So please do your best to put some time in studying, do your best to have this fully completed so that when I see you on Monday, you know exactly what you need help with, because that will be your last chance. I guess I can also put up the schedule. I believe this is the schedule, the testing schedule. Has anyone seen the official version to confirm if this is the same or not? No? Okay, as far as I know, this is the one, because this was on the school website on the AB Bell schedule, but sometimes they forget to update those things when they make changes, so I will look and see if I can find to be sure. For this one also, I don't think it makes much difference, but I can also offer, if you would rather come for the 0 hour B test. 0 hour B is also a pre-cal test for me, so if that is more convenient for you to come during 0 hour B, you're welcome to. But if you're not making it to that one and you're not exempt, you need to plan on making it to the 0A one, which would be Wednesday during normal class time.